Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to make this really cute book sleeve for your books, and I hope this tutorial is good enough for you guys. It is my very first one, so let me know if there's anything I can do better, or if you guys need help, just leave a comment. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. This took only a day to make, or even less, maybe a couple hours, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so to get started on this granny square for the case cover, I am using two different type of yarn. You can definitely use any other colors you want. A lot of people do 3 or 4 or 5 colors. I'm only doing 2 just because this color, the blue, is already like ombre, and so it looks very nice and clean. And then I'm just using a white, and this is the Lily Sugar and Creams cotton yarn, worsted weight 4. This is the 4-ply, so that's what I'm using. And then I have my darning needle, a 4mm crochet hook, and some scissors. So to get started, I already have some yarn like ready out, so I don't have to keep tugging. So to get started, I'm just going to make a slip knot. Everyone makes their granny squares differently. They like to start with a magic ring. I just like starting with a slip knot, and then I just chain up 4. And also with this video, this is not like a slow tutorial. This is more of like for advanced beginners who already kind of know how to make a granny square. I just don't want to skip like a whole step and then just go into like the sewing part of this video. So yeah, so I'm just gonna chain 4 after I made my slip knot, chain up 4, and then I'm going to do a slip stitch in that very first chain space. Just do an ordinary slip knot, and then I'm going to chain up 2. A lot of people, they like to chain 3 for their double crochet. I just do 2 when I do granny squares, just cause. And then you're gonna find the center of your circle, and then you're just gonna, I also like weaving in the tail as I go. So find my center, and then I'm just gonna do a double crochet into the center. And that's what it should look like. And then I'm going to do one more, just because that chain 2 space, it did count as your first double crochet. There you go. So there's your 3 double crochet cluster, and then I'm going to chain up 2, and then I'm making the next cluster. So it'll be 3 double crochet into that same center of the circle. So that's 1, 2, and 3. All right, now I got my 3 double crochet cluster. I'm going to chain 2, do another 3 double crochet cluster, and 1 more. And then now I'm doing my last cluster, so I'm going to chain 2, and then 3 double crochet. All right, now that I got my last 3 double crochet cluster, I'm going to chain up 2, just so I can have the space for my last corner. And then I'm going to slip stitch into that very first double crochet stitch that we did. Slip stitch, great. So now this is what your beginning should look like. And then I'm going to pull the tail to close up the center. So then now to start off, if you are making it with multiple colors, what I would do right now is chain 1 and then cut my yarn, and then do the new color in the next in any of the spaces. But since I'm only working with 1 color, I'm not going to do that. So when I work with 1 color, I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch and do 1 more slip stitch in the next stitch, just so that I can get over to the corner, because when you start a granny square, you have to start in the corner. So once I made my way through there, I'm going to chain up 2, and that will count as my first double crochet. Then I'm going to do 2 double crochet for my clusters. And there's your first cluster. I'm going to scoop my stitch over, and then I'm going to chain up 2 and do another cluster into that same chain 2 space. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And this is all this is all double crochets, by the way. Right? And now some people, they like to chain 1 and move on to the next space. I don't like doing that because I like keeping all the holes nice and tight. So I'm just going to go straight into a double crochet into that chain 2 space. So it's going to look like that. And then I got to make 2 more for my cluster. All right, once I have my cluster, I'm going to scoop my stitch over, and I'm going to chain up 2 and then do another set of clusters. So that's 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and 3 double crochet. And now we just repeat it for the next 2 space, and then I'll show you guys the slip stitch at the very end. And this is also a good time to weave in your ends, because I like weaving in as I go. It saves me a lot of time in the long run, because I used to just go straight into not weaving in my ends and just go straight into like the next part of the project, and then towards the end of the project I have all these ends to weave in, and I just get super lazy. And so like so many of like my completed projects I've done, they are completely done, but then the ends are not woven in. So I just go in one time, and also I like to pull on it pretty good because then it closes up the hole in the center. And then I'll just go back again. I do like leaving a small little tail at the end just cause. So then now we just continue with that repeat. So 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet in the same space, and then same thing for this chain 2 space right here. And I'll meet you guys towards the end. All right, guys, so I am back. So this is what it should look like towards the end. So then now you just go and make a slip stitch on the top of your first double crochet. Just make a little slip knot. And then now I'm doing one more round of this blue. So you're going to make a slip knot in the next stitch, because you have to go over to the corner, and then one more. Right, and now I'm back to my corner. So I'm going to chain up 2. Sorry, gotta just pull out some yarn. So I chained up 2, then I'm making 2 double crochet into that chain 2 space. Right, so then there's your first cluster. Let's scoop my stitch over, and then I'm going to chain up 2, make 3 double crochet into that same chain 2 space. So there is my second cluster. And then now you notice the bigger the granny square gets, we are going to get more of these gaps in between. So there is one gap right here. You're just going to make a 3 double crochet cluster into that space. So regular old 3 double crochet. That's what it should look like. And then now you're going to make your clusters, 2 clusters into the next space. So 3 double crochet and chain 2 and another 3 double crochet into that very same space. Then chain up 2 and then 3 double crochet in that same space. And then now your next is in that one space. You're just going to do 3 double crochet into that space. All right, now you got your cluster in that one space, and then next your chain 2 space, you're just going to do another cluster, chain 2, cluster. So 3 double crochet, 2, 3, and then chain up 2, and then another 3 double crochet into that space. All right, and so then now you just have to do another cluster right here, 2 cluster with the chain 2s, and then one more cluster right here in this space, and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so now that we're at the end of our 3rd round, so I have 1, 2, 3. This is where, and also I really do apologize. The last clip, I kept saying make a slip knot. I meant make a slip stitch. So I'm gonna put it somewhere on the screen with some stars around it, like as a correction. So I do apologize. You're gonna go to your first double crochet stitch and make a slip stitch. Make a slip stitch, and then you're gonna chain 1 to fasten off. And then just pull it right there. And that's what it should look like. It's very small, but then once you add the white border, it'll all come together and it'll be like the perfect like 4x4. So I'm just gonna weave in my end. All right, so now that you have your ends woven in, you're gonna take your next color. My next color is going to be white. And also in the beginning, I noticed that I said I'm using 2 different types of yarn. I mean, I'm using only 2 different colors. I'm not using different type of yarn. I'm the type where when I crochet and it's a project, if I'm using cotton yarn, the whole project's going to be cotton. I'm not going to mix and match cotton and acrylic. If it's a project's acrylic yarn, I'm going to use all acrylic. So I just meant to say 2 different colors, not 2 different types. And it's both the same brands, by the way. So now to color change, I'm just going to thread over the yarn onto my finger, and then make sure that the right side is facing you. The right side is going to be with the pretty stitches, and the back side is going to be where the stitches look all like clumped up. And also that's why I like leaving in like a little tail when I weave in my ends right here, because then I can tell which one is the front or back. So make sure the right side is facing you. Take your hook, stick it into any corners of the chain 2 space, loop over your new color, and you're just going to pull it through, and then it looks like that. And then you're gonna just yarn over and pull through both strands. So then now you drop your tail and then pick up your working yarn, and then you're gonna just chain up, that's 1, and then chain up 2. So it looks something like this. I'm gonna move my stitch over so I can have more room. And now you're literally just gonna repeat the process what we did with the blue. So you're gonna just make 2 double crochet, because that chain 2 does count as 1 double crochet. So this is to start your cluster. I'm gonna actually redo that right there because that is not tight enough. All right, and there is your cluster. And then you're gonna chain up 2, and then make another cluster. So 3 double crochet into that same chain 2 space. So there's 2 and 3. So there's your first 2 clusters and a chain 2 space. So now with this one, the gaps are added more. So another one is added. So now you have 2. So what you do is you just make 3 double crochet in the first space. So it's 1, 2, and 3 double crochets in that one space. And then now you're going to make another 3 double crochet into the very next space. And remember, I am not chaining in between. All right, and there's your 3 double crochet. And then now you're back into a corner, which is your chain 2 space. So this is where you're going to do the 3 double crochet cluster and chain 2 and 3 double crochet cluster. So my first double, second, and third double crochet. Then I'm going to chain up 2, do another 3 double crochet cluster, 2 and 3. And there you go. So this is what it should look like. So now you just have to go all around. So the next 2 space is the 3 double crochet cluster, 3 double crochet cluster. You hit your chain 2 space, 3 double crochet cluster, chain 2, 3 double crochet. And then just repeat, and I will meet you towards the end. Okay, so once you made it towards the end, you're just going to do a slip stitch into that very first double crochet stitch that you had made. So make a slip stitch, and then you're going to chain 1 to fasten off. Cut a tail for weaving in, and just pull through. All right, so now that you have established your square, you're just going to weave in the 2 last ends. Okay, so once you woven in your end, this is what your square should look like. I will be putting this square on a blocking board just so that everything can be stretched out a little bit and just a little bit more straight. So I'm going to go put it on a blocking board, and you need to make 5 more. So you need to have 6 in total granny squares to make the book sleeve, because then when I open it, I have, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 granny squares, and then yeah, so just go ahead and make your 6, and I will see you in the next step. Alrighty guys, so now that we have all of our squares, like I said, you had to make 6 in total. I already made a couple last night, and they were sitting on the blocking board for a couple hours, so that's why they're really flat. So now here is where we come and sew everything all together. So you're just going to take any of your 2, have the right side facing you, and then you're just going to fold them together. Then you're going to fold them together. So right side touching right side, both wrong sides facing out. All right, so now once you got that established, you're going to take whatever your base color is, which mine for instance is white. I'm just going to, so I don't waste any yarn really, I'm just going to like measure out how much I need. I always like to do a little bit extra at the end, just so that I know I'm not going to be running out of yarn when I am sewing the pieces together. I'm just doing a basic whip stitch, but if you are comfortable with crocheting your pieces together, you are more than welcome to do that. I tried it on my first ever crochet book sleeve, and it just looked very bulky, so I don't really like attaching my granny squares with like single crochets or slip stitch. I honestly just whip stitch it, and it's not hard at all. So let me make sure like everything is zoomed in so you guys can see. I can go a little bit more. All right, so to start your whip stitch, you're going to attach
the thread you just cut out with your, and attach it to your darning needle. You're going to take both of your pieces, line it up, and from where we made our chain 2 space, the first chain, you're just going to go into that very first one, and you're only going to go through the back loops only. So it's going to be, the easiest way I can put it is going to be the outer V and outer V. So as you can see, each piece has a V on it. You're literally just going to go outer V and outer V. So start with your first chain that you made, go out on the outer V, and on your next piece, the outer V right there. And you're just going to pull that all the way through. Not all the way through, sorry, just a little bit where you can have an end to tie it off. And I just do just one knot. Just do that tight. All right, so now you got that established. Now you're just going to go on the outer V on the other side, which is the back loop, and then outer V on that is closest to you. Make sure I don't, there you go. And then go on the outer V, and right here, the outer V. And just go back and forth with that, like so. So, so yeah, this is the whip stitch. I like the whip stitch a lot. It looks very clean, super easy to do. And then your next one, the V right there, and then the outer V right here on the last chain 2 space. You're going to pull through, not all the way. Instead, you're going to have that loop right there, and then your needle, you're going to go right through it to create a knot. And then you just tighten that up. And then grab your scissors, cut a little bit so that, because I don't need this long of a tail to weave in my end. Once you open it, your piece should be attached. And it looks really good. It's very seamless. I like with granny squares how it has like the frame around it. So that's that. So what I like to do now, I'll go ahead and weave in my both ends, and then I'll go ahead and grab the next set and just literally repeat what I just did. Whip stitching it all right here, setting that one aside whenever I finish it, and then taking the last two, whip stitching it on the side. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back. All right, guys. So once you've already attached all of your sides together, this is what it should look like. Hopefully the whole thing is showing. There we go. So this is what it should look like. So then now you're just going to whip stitch the top and bottom. So you're just going to take your top square, and this is all the right sides facing you. So I'm going to take this, we're going to literally do what we did, turn it over to the back, so then it looks like this. So then now right side is facing right side, wrong side is facing on the outside. So now we're just going to sew all the way across, and we're literally just going to do the exact same method of sewing like we did earlier. So I'll do a small clip of me sewing my pieces together. Let me just make sure like I am zoomed in enough so y'all can see. So we're going to take that one, move it to the side. So with this one, we're going to need a longer yarn length. So about the tail to weave in, corner to corner. Honestly, I'm praying I have enough yarn to do the border and everything, because this whole thing is going to be in white besides the center. So got that attached. I don't know why I'm like out of breath. I didn't even do anything. Like, I literally just went outside and walked the dog and played with the cat. So I don't know. Maybe I'm nervous, but yeah. All right, so now once we get that attached, we're literally going to do the exact same thing as we did. So line it up, find your first stitch of your chain 2. And we're going to go on the outer and the outer as well of the V's. Pull the way through, leave a decent tail to weave in later. I like to just make a knot. There you go. And then outer V, outer V, outer V. Then outer V, outer V. And there's also better tutorials on YouTube on how to do a whip stitch than how I'm doing it, and probably better graphic quality, because I'm literally just shooting this from my phone. Like, I used to have a camera to record videos, but then I don't know where the charger is, so yeah, that's great. So yeah, you're literally just going to go back and forth on the outer V, and then on the outer V on the other side. So I'm just going to speed this part up, because you're literally doing the exact same thing as you did for your sides. Go on the outer V's and just make another knot. Then cut that. And there you go. Your top and bottom is sewn. Might need to snug it a little bit to get it to even out. And there you go. That's what it should look like. So then now you just literally repeat the process again with this, and then just right side facing up and then right side facing together, and just go all along that line, and I'll meet you for the next part. All right, so for the next step, this is where you're going to make your borders throughout the whole thing once you've already weaved in all your ends. So this is what it should look like. Very pretty, very clean. It looks so satisfying right now. But I'm going to grab whatever color your border is. Mine's going to be white. You can always make it into a different color. I would love for the borders to be blue. Then I just feel like it just won't look like aesthetically pleasing, knowing me. Just like for this one right here, one I just made recently, the border is all white all around, and then it's just the squares that are different colors, which looks very nice and clean. So I'm just gonna keep it nice and clean for right now, and maybe in the future I will add a different color border. But yeah, so let me just find my end here. Okay, so this one, you want your squares to be facing right side up, so the right side is facing you. You're going to take your hook, and I'm going to start in this corner right here on the right side, but you can start anywhere you please. I would just recommend start it on the right side. So I'm going to just stick my hook into the chain 2 space, loop over my yarn, and then pull through. And then I'm going to chain 1. Oh my goodness. I'm going to chain 1 with both of the tails attached, just so that the tail can also be secured as well. Golly, I'm struggling. Okay, so now you're just going to make 3 half double crochets into that chain 2 space. This chain 1 does not count as a half double crochet. So you're going to just yarn over, go into the chain 2 space, pull up, and then you're going to have 3 loops on your hook. You're just going to pull through all those 3. And that's 1 half double crochet, and do 2 more half double crochets. So yarn over, go down, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your chain, yarn over, and pull through all 3. There's 3 half double crochet in that chain 2 space. And now in every stitch until we get to our corner, we're going to do half double crochets. And then I'll show you about the middle right here. So go ahead and just do half double crochets in every stitch. All right, so once we get to this center part right here where both squares meet, you're going to do two half double crochets together. So it's going to be like an unfinished half double crochet, but then it's only going to count as 1 stitch. So you're going to just yarn over, insert your hook into that loop, pull up a yarn, and yarn over, pull through only 2 loops instead of all 3. You should have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over again and go into the next square space. Yarn over, pull up a loop. You should have 4. You're going to yarn over, pull through only 2, and now you have 3, and you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. And that's 2 half double crochets together. And then now you just half double crochet like normal in the next stitch until you hit your corner. Then you're just going to rotate your work, and then just go all along sides. Then once you hit your 2 squares, you're going to do the 2 half double crochets together. Hit your corner, you're going to do the 3 half double crochets into that chain 2 space. So this is just making the border. It's just to make the piece look really neat and put together, and it's to just also even out our. So you're going to yarn over, go into that loop, yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over and go into that space. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and you have 3 loops, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. That's how you do your 2 half double crochets together. And there's that, and I'll meet y'all at the very end of the corner. All right, so once we made it towards the end, we are just going to slip stitch into that very top of our half double crochet. So you're just going to make a slip stitch, if I can get my hook through it. Make a slip stitch, and then turn your work back over, and then you're going to make a slip stitch in the next stitch as well, just so that you can be lined up to the top. My tension is a little bit tight, so my piece is kind of curling, so I might have to steam block it whenever I finish this part. Sorry, I just want to make sure I am in the camera view. Okay, so now once you got up, you're just going to chain 1, and then you're going to make a double crochet in that same stitch like that. And then this is where we are just extending our book cover, our book sleeve, so that when you fold it, the book doesn't really show through. So you're just going to make double crochets all along till you get to your end. Yeah, I find it so weird how sometimes my tension can be really loose and then sometimes it could be extremely tight. So yeah, my piece is just kind of curling a little bit, but it's fine. It's something we can always fix. And it's cotton yarn, so it might take a little bit longer to steam block it. Alrighty, so let me double check if I need to make one more. Just looking at it. So yeah, so once you made your whole row, you're just going to chain one and flip over your work. And so now you should be, now the back side should be facing you, and then you're just going to make half double crochets going back, just because you don't want to extend it too much as well. All right, so once you made it back towards the end, you just do the last half double crochet and you're just going to chain one to fasten off. Oh, I messed up. No, I totally forgot. You're supposed to leave a long tail so that you can sew the sides, but I think I might get away with it. Oh man, that sucks for me. If not, I can always just weave this in and just, I don't know, it could work. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. So basically, you're supposed to cut a really long tail at the end so that you can just use this tail to sew in the side so that you have one less end to weave in. But I can manage. I'll be fine. But yeah, so this is what it should look like. Let me make sure I am in the camera. All right, so this is what it should look like. It looks very pretty. This is the wrong side facing me. So now you just want to grab, I'm just going to use the book in here. So now you just want to grab any book to make sure like it fits. I love me some Penelope Douglas. She's honestly my favorite author. So I'm going to read this one next. So you just want to make sure everything is lined up. As you can see, it fits perfectly, edge to edge. And then once you close it, boom. So yeah, so then now, once you get that established, I am going to go steam block this right now just because I want it to be a little bit more straight. So I'm going to steam block it real quick and then I will show you guys how to seam up the sides. All right, so once everything is blocked, now we're ready to stitch up the project. So you're just going to sew the part where you extended. You're just going to fold it over and make sure that the wrong side is facing out. So that when you flip it inside out, the ugly stitches will be on the inside and the pretty ones will be on the outside. So let me double check everything because I just filmed this part and I messed up. All right. So yeah, fold your piece over. And then now, loop in my thread. So outer piece on outer piece. So it's just like a basic little whip stitch. Tie a knot. Then outer V and outer V. Outer V and outer V. And you're literally just whip stitching the sides together. I might have to play a little bit of yarn chicken with this one, just because I forgot that I needed a longer tail. Yarn chicken 0, me 1. So yeah, so that's what it should look like. And then now I'm going to do the other side real quick, and then we'll flip it inside out, so the pretty side will be facing out. All right, guys, so once you have already woven up your ends, you're just going to take the book cover, flip it outside in. I said it wrong the first time, but that's okay. So you're just going to flip it, and there is your beautiful bookcase, book cover, book sleeve. It is so flipping cute. Like, it's so cute. I honestly am in love with this color combination. So then you just put your book in, and this one honestly fits perfect. Like, it's not, there's like not like a space in between, because that's like my biggest pet peeve when I make book sleeves. And then yeah, so then now I'll show y'all how to do the button and the loop right here. Let me just take my book out real quick. Just making sure everything's lined up a little bit. All right, so to make your button, sorry, I'm like being like super OCD. All right, so to make your button, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. So for my buttons, I'm actually gonna make it in the blue yarn. So you're gonna need to do a magic circle. So go ahead and start off with your magic circle. Super easy. And I'm going to do I think with the button I did with this one I need to take notes. I think with this button, I think I did half double crochets. So you're just going to chain up 1. I think I did 12 half double crochets into the magic ring. So there's 2, because that chain counts as 1. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. There you go. And then you take your tail and you just go ahead and tug it. And then you're just going to go to the top of that half double crochet space and make a slip stitch. And then you're just going to chain 1, cut, pull it through, and there's your cute little button. So let me see if I like the size of that. Yeah, I like the size of that because it's not too big, but it's also not too small. So for the next step, you're just going to take the tail that you just fastened off with, and you're actually just going to move it down back into that magic ring. So you are kind of weaving it in, but then you're also just going to sew it right onto your piece. So you should have 2 that looks like that. Just make sure everything looks even. All right, so now you can put that button to the side. you're going to take your white yarn, and to make the loop, you're going to grab your book sleeve. And right here, this is where I kind of just guesstimate. I just did from this square to this square and then just look up. So right here to right here. So I think I'm going to place it right here. I kind of just honestly guesstimate. I don't pull through that stitch, yarn over, and then that's your first chain. I think for my project, I think I chained 10 just because I didn't want the loop to be so long. So we're just going to do 10 chains. So that's 1 chain, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then going over to this side, and then just making a slip stitch. So there's your little loop. And then you're just going to chain 1 to fasten off. So that's what it should look like. You have your little loop. What I like to do now is I like putting in a book just so that I know where to sew my button, because sometimes when I just kind of guess where I want to place my button, when I put in the book and try to close it, it's either too big or it's too small. So the book closes to about right here. So when I have this right here, this is going to go over. So I'm going to put my button right here. So let me go ahead and just stick my hook right there for right now, just so that I can get an idea of the placement. Usually I would use a stitch marker, but I don't have one on me right now. I feel like the button is so small though compared to my other one. Like I kind of want to redo it. But at the same time, I'm not complaining because that button is a little too big. I don't know. I did use a different hook size, if that tells you anything. All right, so thread your needle through any of the leftover yarn. You're going to end up using both anyways. All right, so I got my ideal of where I want to stick my button. So we'll take off the book. All right, so then now I'm just going to stick needle through. And then I'm literally just going to sew it back and forth. Golly, what a struggle. I'm literally just going to sew it straight onto